Salutations, beautiful human.
And welcome back to Idea Sex. I'm a dragon. Now I'm a dragon.
I have wings in the tail.
And today we're going to do something a little different. Traditionally on this channel, can I say that? There's been like 5 videos. Historically, previously on Idea Sex, we have explored the human experience through the intercourse of ideas from different thinkers, cultures, and disciplines. But today, we're going to do the first in a series of book reviews. It would be great if I could find the book. Where did it go? Mr. Cease? I'm gonna need you to cease and desist your hide and seek.
Michael! Ooh.
And I decided to start doing book reviews because I read a lot, and it layers in really nicely with what we're already talking about on this channel, which is, philosophizing about the human experience. And I take really good notes. And I was like, I shouldn't just keep these to myself. So this is the book we're going to be chatting about today, The Illusion of Money. As you can see, there are more stickies than pages at this point. So this is part of my reading process is when I read nonfiction, I'll read through something, I tag important passages with stickies. I don't know what their official term is, these little flag things. And then I'll read back through the tagged passages and I transcribe my notes into a Google Doc. And I was like, these would be really valuable for people who don't have the time or inclination to read, or they really quickly want to figure out what's worth their while. And so if you want to skip the part where I talk at you for 15 minutes about this book, you can grab Kyle Cease's golden nuggets in the description. I'm not sure I like the phrasing on that, but you take my meaning. So yes, do read the notes and watch the video if it please you. If any of it resonates with you, I highly recommend you purchase a copy of the book, because at the end of each chapter, he's got these great exercises. And I think that's really where the money is. Which is ironic because this book actually has almost nothing to do with money. So The Illusion of Money is a misleading title in the same way that How to Win Friends and Influence People is a misleading title. I did not pick up that book for the longest time because it sounded like a playbook for manipulation. You know what they say about judging a book by its cover. Everyone does it. I happened to see an interview with the author on Lewis Howes' School of Greatness before I had ever heard of the book. And he had a very endearing cover. A lot of what he said resonated, and so I grabbed a copy. And apparently he's really famous, Kyle Cease. He's like an actor and a comedian. I had never heard of him because I live under a pineapple. But he actually gives a really good reason for the title. He says, the reason this book is called The Illusion of Money is because money is one of the biggest excuses we give ourselves for why we can't follow our highest calling and step into what we are meant to be. If you want to be a writer, a painter, an entrepreneur, or anything else, but spend all your time working at a job you don't like just because it pays the bills, that's using money as an excuse to disqualify all your unlimited talents and creativity. And this is coming from a man who spent 25 years as a successful comedian and actor and gave it all up to do what he's doing now. So again, this book is not really about money. It's about listening for that higher calling and then how to step in to our potential. I would recommend it for anyone who hears that calling to serve a cause or a community but can't seem to get out of their own way. I think that that's what this book is really about, is waking up to what we are. What Kyle refers to as, what does he say? He has a phrase, infinite creative beings made out of pure, unconditional love, which I think is optimistic of him. This book actually has a lot to do with visualization, meditation, and written exercises meant to help raise our awareness. Again, like, I'm not sure, is this in focus? There you go. Doesn't really communicate that from the cover. I actually think they got this book completely wrong from a marketing perspective, which is why it hasn't gotten the traction that it deserves. It's like more accessible Eckhart Tolle. The book touches very lightly on finances, but really, if I had to summarize it, I'd say it is an evolution of the abundance mentality, which, if you're not familiar with that, It was a term coined, I believe, by Stephen Covey in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Abundance mentality is when you operate from a place of receptiveness. You believe that there is enough in this world to go around, and it is contrasted with the scarcity mentality, which is when we operate from a place of fear, of lack, of limiting beliefs, and as a result, we believe that there isn't enough to go around. So if you get some of the pie, that means there's less for me. And in recent years, in certain circles, particularly business and entrepreneurship, people have really picked up this idea of abundance and run with it. And so if you ever get slammed with ads from people who are trying to tell you how to make money, a lot of times they will talk about the abundance mentality in kind of a snake oil way, which is why it's gotten kind of a bad rap. But I think that Cease puts a pretty novel spin on it. His whole argument is that when we align with the truest version of ourselves, when we do more of what we love, we become more valuable, and when we become more valuable, we inevitably make more money. It's this irony of when we put emphasis on our internal world, of cultivating a rich internal state, good things will start to manifest outside of us. And this is why I picked up the book. I wasn't interested in making money. I was interested in this idea of if we cultivate more self-awareness and if we align more with what we actually want, does it create positive change in our life? It's like the idea that when we're not looking for something, it shows up, but applied to money, which is a bit of a catch-22, because I imagine most people who see this on a shelf pick this book up because they want to make more money. And letting go of that mental attachment is going to be kind of difficult to just do the inner work for the sake of doing the inner work. What do I mean by inner work? I mean, Cease shows us how to raise our value, love where we are right now, not rely on anything external to make us feel good, which is huge. Letting go of limiting beliefs and old stories that are holding us back, and making inspired decisions instead of fear-based decisions. And I mean, that shit is easy to write down on paper, but it's really hard to put into practice. So I don't think anyone would claim that this book or any book is a panacea, but it can certainly show us the door. And Cease, like a lot of personal development types, relies on meditation to sort of nudge us in the direction of that door, to put us in alignment with our soul. And that brings me to who this book is not for. Those without a spiritual bent. If you are highly pragmatic and looking for a book on finances, this is not what you're looking for. You might try, that was a stack of books that I just like pulled this out of like it was a Jenga block stack. Anyway, Unshakable by Tony Robbins, more up your alley. I think it's really interesting to note that the genre of personal growth, of self-development, is swinging very new age. You know, they talk about like vibrations and frequencies and being attuned. And I think that's very indicative of the zeitgeist, because it's not how we talked 50 years ago. And as a result, this genre now spans everything from very science-based to what some would call quantum quackery. I don't think it's quackery. I think we're going to bridge the gap between physics and metaphysics within the next 100 years, but idea sex for another time. In any case, I think it's helpful to plot books from this genre on a coordinate grid. And because I am an infinitely creative being, according to Cease, I have dubbed this graph Kiara's positioning map for self-help books. I have infinitely and creatively dubbed this. There you go. Along the horizontal axis, we have the scale of pragmatic to abstract / metaphysical. Along the vertical axis, we have research-based versus anecdotal. Here's where I would plot some popular books of the genre. I would put The Illusion of Money here, highly abstract and entirely anecdotal. Not a bad thing if that's what you're into. I really enjoyed this book and got a lot out of it. I would say that my biggest takeaway, as someone who has traditionally been very achievement oriented and sort of chases, I don't want to say status, but things that, like achievements, accolades, things that make you feel shiny for a little while. And at 25, I'm finally starting to realize that chasing anything, first of all, doesn't serve you. And second of all, for as long as it's external, it really doesn't serve you. And a lot of the literature, if you read in the self-help genre, a lot of what it gets at is that you have to cultivate the internal state first, and then the external levels up to sort of reflect that. I can't speak to that because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing at this point in my life, but I'll keep you updated. Also, holy shit, it's hot inside a dragon. So, excuse me while I remove my dragon suit. The most important question we ever ask on this channel is, does it serve us? And I think we can apply it to book reviews too. I think this book does serve the right people because it's highly actionable. These practices are things that once you read them, you can start implementing them right now. But you have to be willing to really implement the content that you read in the book. The results aren't concrete because there's no metric that you can hold this up to, but it has everything you need to create a paradigm shift. There are certainly practices that you can execute upon to move yourself forward. So to reiterate, this is not a book for the non-spiritual. If you are highly pragmatic and looking for financial advice, find something else. This is for you if you're looking for a paradigm shift and want to step into more of what you are. It strikes me as the perfect book to read if you're trying to get some part of you to die. Like, you're at the end of a cycle and you want to rise like a phoenix from the ashes, then this book might be for you. If you want all the takeaways from this book, but you don't want to do the reading, feel free to steal my notes in the description. If you're not sure whether or not you want to read the book, I would recommend watching the interview between Lewis Howes and Kyle Cease. That was what sold me on it, and what he says is either going to resonate with you or it's not. So that link is in the description. If you're the kind of person who's into personal development and always hungry for growth, you should subscribe and come back next time, because Idea Sex is where we stumble through these things together. And now also talk about books, which is exciting. Oh, and if you like to smash, you should smash that like button for me. Thank you for joining me on Idea Sex today for our first in a series of book reviews. I hope you get something out of The Illusion of Money. I certainly did. And until next time, stay healthy, stay tuned, and stay blessed.